Welcome back to another episode of AEPBN Spotlights, where we get to know the brothers that make up our growing business community who are living out their commitment for a lifetime. If you're just joining us, make sure to check out our earlier episodes, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with some other brothers. I'm your host, Rafi Caroline, and today I'm joined by Aaron Pratt, AEPBN's Exchequer, and the owner of Pratt Business Services. Aaron is a professional bookkeeper who helps business owners keep clean, tax-ready books, understand cash flow, and make smarter decisions with real numbers, not guesses. We'll talk about his AEPi journey, how he serves the network as our financial lead, and the practical moves every small business should make to tighten up their financials. Let's jump in. Hey, Aaron, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, Rafi, thanks. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure to have you, and it's been fun working alongside you so far, getting this organization off the ground. Let's just jump right into it and start the way we start every episode and get your AEPi background story. Give me the origin of Aaron Pratt and AEPi.
Well, it depends on who you ask, but my initials are actually AEP. So it goes back even further than being an AEPi particularly. But it was funny because it really didn't stand out to me until I was at convention and I was with Andy Borans and he saw a money clip that I was holding and he went, "Wait a minute, what is this?" And it's got my initials on it. And he says, "Why doesn't it say Pi on it?" He didn't quite catch that my middle name would be Edward and be AEPi. But no, I joined Cal State Northridge Kainu in 2003. I was a spring rush. And I joined after a lot of my friends from high school and other walks of life and what we were doing were part of it. And they kind of told me a little bit about it right after fall rush had occurred. So I missed that cutoff. So I kind of spent a whole semester hanging out around the chapter and getting to know a lot of the guys and the girls as well, and had a lot of fun with them, and ultimately, rushed in the spring and was with them for my full 4 years. I lived in the house for 2. Actually, funny enough, so Lauren was one of our advisors way back when, and when he moved out of the house, I moved in and turned what was our dining room into a bedroom, which still to this day is still a room that the master generally stays in at this point.
Oh, that's pretty odd. Does AEPi own that house?
They don't own the house, but a brother owns the house that we rent it from.
Okay. Yes, it's rare that you have a house stay in the fraternity for that long. Not to call you old, but we're old.
No, it's okay to call me old. It's fair. I mean, I'm not nearly as old as some of the guys on our board, but Anyway, so yeah, it was. I mean, the house is still there. I'm the chapter advisor for them now, so I get to go by every now and again. Even tonight, I've got e-board meeting and chapter meeting with them to help them kick off their semester and prepare for rush. So I still try to stay pretty involved as a whole with AEPi. Even now with myself and Zisner and you here in Los Angeles and the local area, we do the quarterly networking dinners. So it's always been something for me to give back a little bit to our community and make sure that I stay active and involved. I still believe in the Blue Book and a commitment for a lifetime. That's just why I got involved with AEPi at the beginning and why I'm still involved now.
What does that look like? I've never been involved with AEPi Nationals as an alumni. So tell me a little bit. What does that process look like? Being a chapter advisor. What is your role? Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, it is a volunteer position. And even now, actually, something over the last few years that's been set out there is that the chapter has the choice of who their advisor is going to be. So they have the opportunity to be able to pick and choose from the alumni base or whatever it may seem to be that they feel is best to help them. And really my job with them is just to give some advice. I try not to be super involved on the day-to-day, but I am there and available for them if they need me for things. But I just try to make sure that, if they've got certain ideas that they want to be able to have accomplished and, something to be able to make their time in their undergraduate experience that they want something to happen, I help them to accomplish those goals. But other than that, obviously when an issue here or there comes up between brothers or whatever other purposes, I'm available to them. I go to a meeting every couple of weeks to check in and see how things are going. I regularly talk with the master, lieutenant master, about questions that they may have. Also, from the fraternity standpoint, they give us training. We have quarterly calls with some of the staff. They now actually have some online training tools that we can be able to use to better help us in our engagement with the chapters. And ultimately, they'd like for us to be at conclaves and conventions and try to be there to support the brothers and be a part of the educational pattern that goes on within the fraternity as a whole.
Yeah, it's amazing. I actually just got back from my first convention.
This
I
was your
never went as
first?
an
You didn't
That was
go
my
as an
first time I
undergrad?
ever went. Yeah, I never even went as an undergrad. I went to conclave once as an undergrad when the regional conclave happened to be hosted at my school at Temple
Uh,
University.
okay.
So I was just there by default. But this was my first convention, and it was really cool. It's not something I ever would have thought to go to, but I'm so glad I went, and I really do recommend. Like, it was really cool to connect because I've been so involved with the business network and working with alumni. I
Hmm.
haven't really had much connection to undergrads, and it was really cool to be there, happen to be there for the rechartering or the approval of the rechartering of my old chapter, which was really cool, and meeting some of those guys. And yeah, I really would recommend that alumni give that a thought to go to convention and to get more involved on the national level.
I agree with you 100%. I think that going to convention, getting that experience, connecting to our brothers and to the undergraduates is an unbelievable experience for alumni. But I agree that that's a big part of the reason why we have the AEPi Business Network and the Facebook group and meeting in Vegas and trying to be able to expand on what we're doing here. It's to be able to kind of rebrand what that alumni experience has been and try to encourage alumni to engage with the fraternity as a whole, both with our group, the foundation, undergraduates, and kind of remember, we all had that shared experience of being undergrads at some point, and that's why we're part of the brotherhood. And you know, being able to show to the newest alumni that are just joining us to be able to show that there are resources and tools out there to help them grow, to get established in their business careers and find a new opportunity to do something that will be impactful for both themselves and the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the gap that we are trying to fill right now. And they're non-competitive. They
Not at
actually go
all.
hand in hand. I really look. I would never have gone to convention. I would never have started donating to the foundation if it was not for the AEPi Business Network and the summit in Vegas.
Mhm.
And this group, the Facebook group, has really gotten me involved in a way that I never would have. So it's hand in hand, and we're really
Absolutely.
working together
I
towards
I mean,
towards
I,
a
I
joint
couldn't
mission.
give Jay enough credit for supporting the event over the years and getting the staff to come out and be able to assist with everything from the check-ins to setup and breakdown to putting the swag bags together to networking and helping us to actually make the event run smoothly. And obviously it's been a huge engagement, I think, for the foundation to meet brothers who may not have otherwise been engaged, like yourself, even to a point me in terms of donating, like you said, and trying to be able to support the efforts of the foundation and what they're doing. And I think as a team and as a group, the national fraternity and us are, we have all the same goal, is just to be able to continue the professional growth and the social societal growth, the community growth of AEPi after we've left the fraternity as well. And be honest, I mean, for me, rebuilding my business after, COVID and getting into the bookkeeping world again, which I had done when I was younger and in college and spent many, many years doing, it was a huge help to me in terms of getting reestablished and allowing me to grow my brand and grow my business. Over 80% of the my business right now is working with brothers in their businesses as well as their
Wow.
referrals to me. It's incredible the way that they've been able to support me, and I can be able to turn around and do the same thing for them.
Let's talk a little bit about that. You run Pratt Business Services. It's
Yeah.
a bookkeeping business. Um, and what is it that you provide? What does that mean to be a bookkeeper? How is that different than a CPA?
Yeah. Yeah. So most of my clients are business owners of different sizes. They range from, themselves, just a sole proprietor, to, a couple hundred employees, depending on, what the business is. But what I do on a day-to-day business is their operational accounting. So whether it's their bank reconciliations, their payroll, their payables, their receivables, helping them to get their invoices out and collect their dough, being able to assist them with minor tax related issues, some things like sales tax, payroll taxes, help them to administer it through a third party like an ADP or a Gusto. Being able to ultimately take a lot of that day-to-day work that they don't really love doing and give it to me so that I can do it for them because it's something I love to do. But I can also then assist them with the decisions that they're going to make. I help them to understand, their cash flow, understand who they need to hire if in certain instances that may make things more efficient. I can help them put a budget together and talk about their insurance needs, right? Because I do also have a background in commercial sales, the insurance sales, but being able to assist them in a variety of different ways in the day-to-day operational part of their business, but ultimately give them the time to go do what they do best, right? And that's to be able to engage with their customers and their staff and help their business to grow in that way.
Do you do like projections and forecasting as well?
Not a lot. Generally, you'll find that a little bit more from a CPA than you will from me. Now, I will assist in those things. Generally, a lot of it's the data gathering and the information to put the projections together. But a lot of times when it comes to tax projections, that's going to go through the CPA because they're going to actually input it into the tax software. And they're going to give them an idea of what their liabilities might look like down the road. And so how to better plan and make those estimated payments, things of that nature. So that, I guess you did ask me that earlier is kind of where do I differentiate? I more communicate a lot of the information and the data to the CPA. I help the client and the CPA to kind of accomplish the goals that they're trying to be able to do, whether it's tax mitigation, getting the business ready for sale, growth, whatever it is they're trying to accomplish at that point in time. And so I provide a lot of the financial data to them to make those decisions.
What size business is like your sweet spot? If I could give you the best client in the world right now, who would that be? What would they look like?
It actually really varies. Most of what I do is with service-based businesses. There's very few manufacturing or retail type businesses that I work with. I mean, I've seen revenues that the clients that I work with, they're upwards of $200 million a year. But those do generally tend to be more like real estate investors and, people who have a lot of different properties, things like rent coming in, things like that, or flipping properties, that kind of thing. But when it comes to sizes of employees, maybe about 150 to 250 in that range, dependent upon, what type of business it is. And in terms of annual revenue, it really varies based on the type of business, right? But ultimately somewhere in the $10 to $20 million a year revenue range, not necessarily their net profit, but in the revenue range, because that's the type of person who generally they have a few employees. They're really good at what they do within their market and what they're trying to accomplish. But ultimately they don't have the time to be able to focus on the back end and on the accounting and things like that. They just need somebody to take that over so they have that extra time for themselves to do what they need.
And obviously it's cheaper to use your services than to either use a CPA for your bookkeeping or to hire an in-house person full time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea. And generally, again, that's because of what your focus is and what you're trying to be able to accomplish within your business. And that's why I say it does vary. Occasionally in a $10 to $20 million a year company, they could hire somebody to be able to be in-house and do the work for them. But it depends on the business at that point and what their margins look like, what are they selling? What's their services, et cetera.
Yeah. And you said 80% of your business is either brothers or direct referrals from brothers. And was that from the beginning, like from the get-go?
Yeah. So I actually started the business up when my daughter was born back in 2017. And I had, so I left the insurance business at the time that I was helping another brother of ours run his office. And I decided it was time for me to have more flexibility, be able to be around for my daughter and get to see her grow up, et cetera.
Still a big financial risk to take too. Like you have a new kid in the house, more expenses, and you were taking a risk to start a new business. That takes some gumption.
It does. And it wasn't an easy decision, but it was something that, luckily my wife's a teacher. She was in a pretty stable situation as she'd been doing it for over a decade at that point. So it wasn't the biggest of risks that I've ever taken, but it was definitely a risk of doing that. But it's allowed me that chance to spend time with my daughter and kind of get to hang out and get to see her grow and really engage with that opportunity while growing my business. And yeah, I mean, from the get-go, the fraternity was a huge chunk of who my client base has been over the years. It wasn't obviously because it started in 2017. It wasn't just from the Facebook group or from Vegas, but in terms of my growth and development after, after those first couple of years, it's been the majority of my last 5 years in terms of who my client base is really stuck to being. I have a few that I've kept from earlier times, but I also in 2020, right as COVID hit, I joined a CPA firm. And I was doing that because I was determining, do I want to become a CPA, get licensed and go through that? Or do I want to stick within the area that I'm already enjoying? And so I was with them for about 2 years. I had a relationship with them because I was taking my clients to one of their partners to do their tax work. They saw the professional work that I put together from the books. They asked me to come in house when things got a little nuts with COVID, and obviously things were a little questionable. So I got to get some new skills, which was great out of that. And it really is what's so useful to my clients now is because I can have regular communications with them about the decisions they're making, how it'll impact their tax return, what it'll look like for them. And again, pushes the communication that I have with their CPAs and lets me be that kind of point person for them and what they're doing, with a background in insurance, a background in tax, background in accounting, and a background in recruiting. All of those things are major parts of what a small business owner has to do on their day to day. And so they can be able to bounce ideas off of me and I can be able to assist them that way. It really is just a lot of fun to be a part of what I do on a day to day basis. And I think that through the Las Vegas convention since 2021, this coming up or being our 5th year, I think a lot of the guys that are there see that from me and the way that I talk about what I do and how I can assist in their businesses. And a lot of our conversations when we're there is about what we all do, right? It's very casual. It's a lot of fun. We're hanging out with brothers. We're learning about what each other does, but we really get the opportunity to, to pick each other's brains. And that goes for those that aren't business owners, right? I mean, we've seen so many of the guys come through that are looking for new career paths and opportunities, and they get to pick brains of people who've been there and done it as well. I love what we get to do when we're there, and I look forward to expanding it so that we can do this more and more throughout the year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, there are a handful of us, maybe 15, 20 of us who have been to all 4 years thus far. Hopefully we'll all make it 5. And it's become a real community more than just business networking.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Yes, awesome. You've gotten 80% of your business and you've boomed since the Facebook group and the Vegas conventions, and it's been a flaming business success for you. Wonderful. But let's talk a little bit about the social aspect. Give me some highlights of social connections, community that you've gotten out of this, as opposed to just business referrals and money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a few things that I get to do regularly with brothers. Obviously, we do the quarterly networking dinner here in LA. So it gives us a chance, like you and I, to see each other a little more often and connect that way. But beyond that, like every Sunday night, I have the opportunity to join a poker game with a couple of our brothers online. And a huge chunk of the guys that are on that app are brothers from around LA, but also around the country because they've met at the event. We're lucky enough that one of our generous donors is one of the hosts of that that event every week. Guys on the East Coast that I get to spend a little bit of time with. I actually went out in January, early February, out to the South Florida business networking dinner. And because I was going to be there, and an additional 10 or 20 guys showed up and got to reconnect with people that I hadn't seen in years, even guys who used to live here on the West Coast, but had moved out to the East Coast. And that was really cool to be able to do that. Regularly, I communicate, via text, phone calls, Zooms, whatever it is, with guys like Bruce Silverman, it hasn't been as much lately, but Alex Getlin, many other guys that have been a part of the event in Las Vegas that are, nowhere near us, physically in terms of location, but it's wonderful to do that. And I know that with any of them, if I've got business questions or if I've got, needs, that they're going to be on the other end of the line to pick up the call and be able to give me some advice and help me through over a hump or a challenge that I may be getting through within my business as well.
Absolutely. And big shout out to Alex, because he's been listening to this, and even before I started, he gave me some great advice, recommended the platform I'm using, really taught me a lot, and has been a great resource to me for getting this podcast off the ground. Thank you, Alex.
Absolutely. And thanks for all the help, Alex and Bruce and all the other guys that are out there that are always willing to just step up and be great brothers. They're just there for us.
Yeah. And that sense of like truly just wanting to help. And I know it's true because I feel it too. Like I just genuinely really enjoy helping people in this group. I like helping people in general, but I get a special sense of pride doing it within this community because I see it come around almost immediately. Like the relationships that I've formed go way beyond just doing business together. And like I used to be in BNI, which is called Business Network International, something that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
For people who get business through referrals, it's a good way to get referrals, but it's just not even comparable. First of all, you have to pay to be in that. You don't just get the joy of being in it because you're a brother. And like the way that Ogman runs his dinners, and to an extent, the way that we would run the dinners in LA, that you get that time to stand up and pitch yourself, and it's a similar-ish kind of format, but the community's not there. Like it's way more transactional. Here, this can't be replicated. The just genuinely having a group of people who warmly want to help you just because they want to help you, because they want to see you succeed.
I agree. And you know what? I give David Ogman a ton of credit for what he's done in South Florida with those dinners, because I agree with you that there's really no comparison for what it's like being in Vegas. But the group there is very supportive as well, and they really do try to be able to help each other to do business. It's the same type of mindset, but they get together once every other month, and that's something that's local. This is something that we're trying to do on a maybe a little bit larger national, regional type level with as we grow. Maybe we can do these in a couple of different locations, so it makes it easier for people to get there. But ultimately, we want to, exactly what you said is just to be able to continue to grow the relationships. And I think that more than anything, I know a lot of people think, oh, this is strictly for business owners or, whatever. No, it's really not. This is about our brotherhood getting together. It's about us spending time, helping each other to grow. I love that part of the topic of this upcoming year is going to be about men's mental health and the things that we deal with on a regular basis, and how we can better, take care of our families, take care of ourselves, take care of our employees and our team. And, I think that, what people don't necessarily realize is that, this really isn't about this new board that's being put together. And it's not just about us. It's something that we want to ultimately create. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, is kind of a rebranded alumni experience, something that is new and something that helps us all to develop and grow, no matter if you're an employee, an employer, a brand new alumni, or someone who's been out of the fraternity for 50 years. You have something you can bring to the table and share with each other. And God, I get so excited talking about it because we have so much fun when we're in Vegas. Yeah, there's some business to be done, but it is such a community that we are developing. I know even the guys that, haven't been to every year, but they come every other year, whatever it may be to this point.
Sure.
They hate when they miss the event because it's so useful for all of us, no matter what it is we're doing.
Yeah. And the summit is amazing. And it is the pinnacle of what we do here with the business network, but it's not the only thing, right? We encourage these regional dinners. If you live in some other city and you don't have regional dinners going on, take the initiative. That's the lesson I've learned. Just do stuff. I wanted to start a podcast. I just started a podcast.
Absolutely.
Just do things. Just take the initiative. And not only that, but you have resources. If you want to start a regional dinner, call Ogman. He will answer the phone. I don't know how he has the time, but he makes the time for people. I really don't understand it.
That guy helps everybody. I don't have any clue.
It's amazing.
And
or call you.
Yeah.
You have experience.
Call Cam
Call
Parker.
Any of us. Call Cam. Yes, call Cam Parker. Cam. He will help you. The resources are out there, and all that's stopping you is just taking the initiative.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so look, you and I are both obviously huge advocates of everything that's going on here. I want to dispel some myths, okay? So you are the bookkeeper you are the treasurer.
I am our Exchequer.
Are the Exchequer for our organization. I've had people, particularly some conversations that I had at convention and then some follow-up. I've had people comment to me like, hey, why are you guys like a for-profit entity? Why are you profiting off of brothers? Why are you trying to make money? Like these kind of things. So I want to dispel those myths because we are all putting in a lot of time and effort, and none of us are expecting to get a penny out of this personally.
We vote money in.
We all put money in. Yes, we all put money in
Yeah.
to support this,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we're self-funding. So
Yeah.
we may actually lose money personally throwing these events, but we don't care. We are doing this to build this network because we see the vision. And honestly, yes, we will all get it back on the back end. You have 80% of your business come from brothers.
Exactly.
Okay, great. This can be a marketing expense to an
That is
extent.
exactly right.
Yeah, and that's the message we want to get across to people, is that that is where our motivation comes from a financial standpoint. It's
Sure.
not to make profit off of brothers by charging them a ticket fee. We're not making money there. We just want you in the door so that we can do business with you.
Oh,
That's
actually,
it.
this year's fee is not even 100% covering all of the costs. I mean,
Correct. Sponsor. That's every year.
sponsorships
Every year.
and money that we've put in as a group to, to get into this and become partners of the business is what's helping to support that. Costs, as we know, are going up, right? And so just as a whole, we have to find a way to be able to keep these things growing. But as you said, this is a marketing tool for me. My business has grown out of the networking that has come from this event, from my time spent with brothers and with the foundation, some from Cam to Jay and guys that'll recommend me, to just the referrals in the Facebook group from other brothers and the connections that we've made. The opportunity that's developed from the business networking group and from AEPBN as a team is really what I'm doing this for. There's no real expectation that this long term is going to become a cash cow and going to make us all rich. We're not trying to do that. As I said, we want to make this something that lasts. We want to make this something that changes the expectations of the alumni. When you made the comment that, people think that we're trying to line our pockets, I'm like, it kind of sounds like the exact same rumors that go around when we wanted to join the fraternity. Oh, you're paying for your friends, and oh, you're doing this and that. Why would I join the fraternity? No, we don't pay for our friends. We pay for the events and the opportunities that we create for ourselves to be able to be a part of such a wonderful organization. And that's all this is. This is us putting out the opportunity for the thousands of alumni that are out there to re-engage with the fraternity as a whole, to see what's new, what's going on, how they may be able to get involved and kind of give back from the experiences that we all had as undergrads, and give that to the undergrads, and hopefully grow our businesses and to find a way to do better professionally that's why we go to this. It's not because you and me and Lauren and anybody else are going to be putting any money in our pockets. This is to help us to continue the growth of this group and continue the growth of our individual businesses. That's all this really is doing for us.
Yeah, and the community aspect.
Right.
I'll give you one example of something that would not happen in BNI is, before I started recording this, I was like, to my wife, Jenny, I was like, hey, I'm going to go record an episode. She's like, oh, who's today's episode with? I'm like, oh, it's with Aaron Pratt. She's like, oh, I know his whole life story. I could tell you everything about him, because you guys at one of Brandon's parties had some real quality time. Like,
great.
That's not happening in another business networking organization.
No, you and I really wouldn't have developed the friendship that we have to this point.
No, we don't do business together. Well, not directly anyway.
Well,
we
right,
do.
But
We are both tangentially involved in the same organizations.
Correct. But my point is, I mean, yes, you were here in LA for a little while. We would have met each other maybe through the dinners, but the development of the relationship and the friendship that we had has really been because of the time we spent together at the summit and getting to know one another and referring and talking and, discussing AE pitch and discussing all the different things that you've been involved in your career and your investments to what I'm doing from a business standpoint. We've spent the time to grow our friendship and develop it, but we only had that opportunity because we were really we were 3 days hanging out, going to dinners, having lunch, really getting to spend the time with one another and get to know all the guys around us and develop those relationships.
Yes. And this year I hope to be better than ever. Honestly, it's an all-star cast so far of the guys who have committed to coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all of my favorites from all the years. Everybody seems to be coming this year, so I'm super stoked. You know what? I want to throw you a couple quick hitters.
Okay.
Give me some, like, what's the hardest business lesson you've had to learn in life?
So this one's kind of funny. So I'll pull it off real quick. So the Apple Watch, right? And just, I love the AEPi watch group, and, they all want to invest and to do different things. Yeah. For years, I had to stop wearing one. I couldn't stop playing with it. I looked like I had somewhere better to be, something else I needed to do. I constantly was checking the watch and seeing what time it was. and, even wearing the Apple Watch now, all the different communications and alerts and everything that go on. That was one of my biggest things, because it made my clients seem like they weren't important. And I'll be honest, that's something that got pointed out to me by brothers I did business with. And it was just one of those things that, like, when you're starting to tell your client they're not important to you anymore, how important is going to be the relationship and going to keep you guys together. I mean, that was a huge issue for me early on.
I love that example for two reasons. First of all, you gave me an idea for a product, which is a watch that has a fidget spinner on it that you can spin around. So that's a pretty cool product. I feel like it would sell. If anybody steals that idea, you're welcome to it. Just remember where you got it from. Throw me a little kickback here.
It's okay. This is time-stamped. We're good.
Yeah. And the second thing is that little piece that you gave at the end there. So that is one other thing you're going to get from this network you're not going to get from anywhere else. You're going to have brothers who genuinely care about you and want you to succeed. And if they see you doing something wrong, they are going to correct you in a nice way because they genuinely want to see you make that correction. So you're going to get feedback that you wouldn't get from somebody else who's just going to yes you or whatever,
100%. I agree with you on that. It is, and I've had those other conversations too, like when we get up and we do the global pitch at the event and, how can I improve this or what thought of that, or organizing my thoughts a little bit differently to have it come across better. Even just sitting here with you, like I'm having that in the back of my mind as to how do I come across and what am I thinking and what words are coming out of my mouth, and being intentional about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to close out by saying that we are taking that same approach to this organization. So to all of you out there listening, to all of our brothers, if you have feedback for us, please reach out and let us know. We want your feedback on how to make this better. We're doing this for you. That is our goal. So any advice that you have, we want you all, just because we're the board doesn't make us any different than any of you. You're important. Your opinion matters. It matters to us. And we want to implement these things. So please reach out and give us that constructive criticism.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, it's actually been one of our biggest growing pains, right? Is that we're trying to be able to take a lot of the things that are being told to us and the advice and the information that we're being given by those who have both attended and not attended the events to try to implement those things. And, some of them are easy to do. Others are expensive, and we have to try to figure out how to make that happen. But it is a goal of ours as a whole, I think, to just put this event together to really bring us all back to the fraternity days, our experiences, our shared love of AEPi, and ultimately, just find a way for us to be able to grow individually, professionally, socially, and just have a great time doing it. And I just can't wait for us to get back out there again and spend the time that we will with each other for 3-4 days for those who come in a little early or stay a little late, and just have a great time with each other and share some new stories, tell what's gone on with our lives over the last year, and then find the next way to be able to see if there's an opportunity to work together.
Yeah, and if you do have the opportunity, definitely do that. The Thursday night dinner can be very intimate. You have maybe a quarter of the guys who are going to be there, so you get more quality time. The Friday morning, I'm super excited for the clay pigeon tournament. Yeah, I really enjoy that. So that's going to be a big hit.
Yeah,
if you can make it in for that.
It's fun that we're bringing that back this year. See, I'm still having a trouble even saying we versus
right. Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun for everybody to go out and hang out and do that as well. And we've got a couple of good things in the works that we haven't put out there just to everybody yet. So it should be a great time.
Yes. More exciting stuff to come. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me. I am stoked to be doing this with you, with everybody else on the board. And I cannot wait to see where we go from here.
Thank you so much. Can't wait. I'll talk to you soon.
Big thanks to Aaron Pratt for breaking down the bookkeeping moves that actually matter. Clean books, clear cash flow, and consistent habits. If you were inspired by our conversation, we would love to have you join us in person at the AEPBN Summit this November 14th to 16th at the Park MGM in Las Vegas. Registration is open now at aepbn.com. Please make sure to register soon, as the room block is filling up quickly. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with another brother who could use Aaron's services. I'm Rafi Caroline. Thanks for listening.